he still speaks through his faith. Whoa. Have you read about Abel? Even after 6,000 years, he still speaks to us through his faithful example.
Jehovah's Witnesses have been doing like a whole bunch of animated videos for children. A lot of the time it's innocuous. Sometimes it's absolutely psychotic. So let's listen to this one and see what they have to say. We have two of them. Learn from Jehovah's friends, Abel and another about Deborah. I'm trying to remember. So I think if I remember correctly, Cain and Abel were the children of Adam and Eve, right? The only two children, I think. And then mysteriously they found wives from who, I don't know. But Cain was like the world's first murderer. He murdered Abel because he didn't like how much God loved Abel rather than him or whatever.
That's incredible, especially considering his living situation. A lot of family drama.
Oh, wow, that was super funny. Oh my God.
Come on, let's take a look at that account. Abel's parents were Adam and Eve. They disobeyed Jehovah.
Dude, I really like this animation. I'm actually a big fan of this. For the record, you can see Adam and Eve, and there's a little snake in the top right corner here or whatever. A lot of Christians think that the snake was Satan. It was not Satan. By no stretch of the imagination, and in no way was the snake Satan. The snake was just a snake. It was a crafty animal, very intelligent and witty, told hilarious jokes apparently, and it wanted to mess with Eve, so it told her, you know, you can eat from this fruit and you'll be fine, just as a troll. And she was like, really? Okay, let's give it a shot. She did. And God was so pissed off that he stole the snake's legs. He hid them in a closet, would never give them back.
And had to leave the paradise that God made for them. Abel also had a brother named Cain. He was angry and violent. Abel's family were bad examples of faith. So how did Abel build his faith? Well, there were...
Dude, I love this. This is so interesting. They had this illustration, basically, of two angels with a flaming, swinging around sword. They had this exact illustration, I believe, in the Bible story book when I was a little kid. You know, they have Jehovah's Witnesses have the Bible story book. That's really interesting. I love that. They included that.
Well, there were cherubs who guarded the way to the garden where his parents used to live. Abel could see other creatures who had faith in Jehovah, so he wasn't alone. Abel could enjoy the beautiful things Jehovah made and know God loved him. And Abel could think about Jehovah's promise and hope that someday he'd live in paradise. Even though Abel had a family who did not love Jehovah, he still saw and heard plenty to help him build faith in God. That helped Abel become Jehovah's friend. Why not read Abel's story and let his account speak to you? Make time every day to learn from Jehovah's friends. What do you think?
Wow, that's really interesting. I really like this animation a lot. The style, I don't know. It's really, really good.
How did Abel show that he was Jehovah's friend? How did Abel build his faith in Jehovah? How could you build your faith?
How did he show he was Jehovah's friend? By betraying his friends and family, I suppose. Is that the message they're trying to communicate? How did he build his faith in Jehovah? By ignoring his friends and family? How can you build your faith? What message am I supposed to derive here? I should build my faith by betraying family? Anyway, wow, really interesting.
La 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 la.
It's clever. I think they do a really good job with this, actually.
I want to sing to Jehovah, just like Deborah did.
Like, okay, I'm sorry. I just gotta say it. Jehovah is not God's name. I try not to go down this route too much because I say it so much, but God's name was Yahweh. Yahweh, not Jehovah. J's didn't exist in the language at the time. They didn't exist until the 1400s. It was Yahweh. Ancient Hebrew didn't have vowels. Like the written language didn't have vowels. And when it gained vowels later, they were just little dots and squiggles that could be inserted into the text without having to rewrite it. You just put like 2 dots above a letter or whatever, and it indicates that an A goes there, for example. By the time they gained vowels in the written language, saying the holy name, Yahweh, was forbidden. So they added the vowels for the word Adonai, meaning Lord, instead of the actual vowels. And it led to an impronounceable, nonsensical word. So when they reached that part, they wouldn't say Yahweh by mistake. They wouldn't even think it. They would think an incorrect name and realize they're not supposed to say that, and they'd skip over it. So the word Adonai, with its vowels, with the tetragrammaton YHWH, spells Yehovah. As that impronounceable, incorrect name passed through Germanic regions, Y's pronounced like J's, W's pronounced like V's, it became Jehovah. It is literally an attempt to prevent people from saying God's name. So Jehovah is not God's name. Anyway, let's continue.
Just like Deborah did. What inspired her to sing? Come on, let's have her tell us. It's a great story.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Deborah. During my time, the Israelites were very afraid. Some even left their villages to hide. Who were they afraid of?
I don't remember the story of Deborah.
This guy, Sisera. He was chief of the Canaanite army. They were all big bullies. But was I afraid? Not with Jehovah on my side. Look, there I am. I was a prophetess.
Dude, I love how they, well, I mean, I think it's ironic how they portray the different cultures in the region at the time. The Canaanites were just another kind of group of people that lived in Israel, in the Israel area, around the time that the Jews lived there and were writing about it. In fact, Yahweh is a Canaanite god. Like you've got Baal, Baal. Some people know it as Baal. You've got Asherah, and you've got Yahweh. Yahweh was likely a war god or a storm god. It's hard to know for sure, because there isn't a whole lot written about Yahweh in old texts, in extra biblical texts, basically. But it was definitely a Canaanite god. And the reason that the 10 Commandments, or, well, let me rephrase, the reason that the first commandment says, you shall have no other gods before me, is because there were other gods. And the Israelites made a deal with that God. If you protect us, we will only worship you. We won't worship Baal, we won't worship Asherah, or any of the others. Only Yahweh. It was a unique kind of pact that they had created with like one of the gods or whatever. The Israelites were telling their people what Yahweh expected of them, of course. Religious leaders have always dictated what they wanted and claimed God was telling them what that was. And this specific set of people who were worshiping Yahweh said that he wanted them to wipe out the Canaanites. And there were actually a lot of different cultures that lived in that area at that time. The Hittites and the Philistines and people like that. So the Israelites of the era hated other cultures and were an empire in their own right and committed genocide on the other cultures in the area, the other, ethnicities or whatever. And I think it's like really, it's like the height of, God, irony's not the right word. I don't know what the word is, but to portray the Canaanites this way, when they were just like another group of people in the region, is kind of sick.
Who were they afraid of? This guy, Sisera. He was chief of the Canaanite army. They were all big bullies. But was I afraid? Not with Jehovah on my side. Look, there I am. I was a prophetess, and Jehovah gave me good news to tell Israel's new leader Barak. I reassured him, when you face Sisera, Jehovah will help you win.
God, I cannot stand it when they use the name Jehovah. It is so fake and ridiculous. Literally an attempt to get people to stop using the real name. And here they are using it. It's so cringy.
I received courage from Jehovah, and that gave Barak and the Israelites courage as well. Jehovah defeated Sisera, just like he promised. And that's why I was singing. Listen, you kings, to Jehovah I will sing.
Jehovah's friends show courage. Why not read the whole story and let Deborah's example encourage you? Make time every day to learn from Jehovah's friends. What do you think?
So cringy.
How did Deborah show that she was Jehovah's friend? When is it hard for you to be courageous?
How did she show she was Jehovah's friend? By hating the right people? When is it hard for you to be courageous? I mean, this is for children, so I'm assuming that the answer to this question is probably when you know that you should be spreading the word of Jehovah's Witnesses in school, but you're afraid you're going to get made fun of. Personal experience here, by the way, I understand.
How can you help a friend be courageous?
Judges 4:4-10. Anyway, yeah, that looks like the end of it. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. It's so sad that they're wasting their animation talents on trash like this.